name is Lorraine, and I am a spiritual medium and I'm a spiritual teacher. And today I wanted to talk to you about heaven and hell, or rather, the concepts of heaven and hell. Now, as a medium, I believe that it's important for us to have a good understanding of spiritual truths. And to be honest, our spiritual truths do evolve based on the level of consciousness of man, based on the level of consciousness of humans, because we're only able to receive as much as our consciousness will allow. So let me go on further to explain this. Heaven and hell do not exist in terms of a geographical location. When we talk about the soul, it's often believed that heaven is a place that you go to when you're good, and that the hell is a place that you go to if you've bad or done some kind of sin. And so what I really want to be able to explain is that these are not places that exist. And I believe this is really important for us to have a good understanding about as we are contemplating our own soul experience and the experience of our loved ones also too. So let's go into this a little bit deeper, okay? So heaven and hell, they don't exist in terms of a location. What this really is referring to is a level of consciousness or a state of vibration. So words that have been typically used to explain where we go when we pass, words such as higher or lower, above or below, these are really referring to different planes or dimensions of life. And these terms are really used to explain a vibration, and it's not a location. And it's not meant to imply or suggest that these are places that are physically above or below. Although it's true that early theosophists and early spiritualists actually believed that this was the case. Now, as we have grown in our spiritual understandings, we have come to a different belief. And I had to really work with this myself. And so as a medium, I've always been on a spiritual journey, and I contemplated some of the religious doctrines that were being presented to me at the time. And these are things like heaven and hell. And so I had a lot of fear around the idea of hell. I had a lot of fear about bad things occurring, or if I was bad, I would go to this place that was not good. And I had to really be able to explore and contemplate some of these belief systems on my own. And I came to this own understanding. I had my own feelings about it, and in contemplation I was able to receive from spirit. And I see now that these are understandings that are now considered to be spiritual truths. And so I'll just explain it a little bit more. That hell is not a place that we go to. Souls don't ever become trapped. They don't ever become lost. And a soul can't be damned. But we're talking about a state of consciousness or a state of awareness. And so sometimes if someone has passed very quickly, or if they had been experiencing a certain amount of, whether it be stress in their life or experiencing the results of some choices that are made, it is important to be able to understand that as they pass, their level of consciousness doesn't immediately transform. That there is a state of reflection for these souls to be able to experience. And so the idea that someone may be trapped is just really simply not true. Although they may be in a state where they are continuing to heal, and a state where they're looking or reviewing their life experience and being able to contemplate their choices or the choices in life. And so our soul is continually growing, it's continually evolving. And prayers do help. I want to be able to say that very, very firmly, is that prayers absolutely do lift each soul up when we pray for someone. And so our prayers are not in vain, ever. So if you have a loved one in spirit, know that your prayers are felt and heard. I know this as a medium, that our prayers are heard on the other side, because I get that validation all the time from spirit, which is a very, very powerful thing to be able to experience, to be able to trust. So all of the planes of life really exist with each other. And these planes exist at the same time, simultaneously, and they actually are more or less in the same space. The only barrier that exists between these different planes of life is vibration. And this is how we are able to shift our consciousness beyond these dimensions, is learning how to raise our vibration. And this comes with awareness. And so this is why someone may need to have some more healing when they've passed over. But again, it's important to know that no one is lost and no one is trapped. And the teachings that explained, or rather delivered, these doctrines, the idea of heaven and hell and where you may go in the afterlife, we have to understand that, again, it's being given in relationship to the consciousness of mankind at the time. And so it really is a set of rules, or a set of governing ideas that are meant to guide us. But the spiritual truths are much deeper and much more nuanced. And so when these teachings, when these doctrines were given out about the idea of heaven and hell, it really related to mankind at the time. It needed to be able to provide structure and rules, and not really giving the explanation of why these things were important, but it was just sort of delivering it as a rule or a guidance that to help be able to create some kind of order. So that's really what it was about. It's about creating order. And there's a deeper spiritual truth or meaning to what has been given. And so, yes, it may have instilled a lot of fear. Absolutely. And unfortunately, these sort of these religious doctrines is what I should say. They're not spiritual, they're religious. These religious doctrines can actually cause a lot of pain to people, because they may actually believe their loved one's in a bad place. And that can't be more untrue. And it's important for us to be able to understand that our loved ones, that as souls we continue to evolve. And that all of these planes exist at the same time, and we're just talking about vibration, a level of consciousness that separates it. And so hell isn't a place that you go to, and heaven isn't a place that you arrive at either. Although we do ascend, we do grow, and we do raise our level of consciousness to once again reunite with the Great Spirit. It's all about vibration. It's all about our level of consciousness and the growth of our soul, all of our human experience. All of these allow us to be able to grow from. And part of why these doctrines have existed again is that here in the physical plane, we tend to express things in three-dimensional ways. So it's expressed in space. It's expressed as height and width and depth. It's very linear. And so some of these ideas were just beyond the understanding at the time. But we now understand that things are not three-dimensional. We live in an energetic world, that we live in a world of vibration, a quantum field. And so having that understanding that we're in a quantum field and that everything exists in terms of vibration allows us to be able to apply science to these spiritual truths so that we can really arrive at this understanding in a place of knowing. Because I really feel that it's important to be able to arrive at spiritual truths through our own knowingness. Meaning that it's important for us to be able to explore things through our own soul's understanding so that we can arrive at that wisdom. And it's in achieving this sort of wisdom, this ability to connect with your soul, to be able to contemplate and to raise our consciousness in order to be able to connect with the spiritual truth of this. It's important to be able to do that instead of just accepting whatever has been given to you. And I say this because, as humans, we tend to just want to accept things, especially religious doctrines or spiritual truths. But it's important that we arrive at our own understanding through contemplation so that we can speak on it from a place of knowingness. And most importantly, I really want to be able to have you go away with understanding that heaven and hell are not geographical locations. And that we're talking about a state of awareness or a state of consciousness. And is also to understand that we have a gift of free will. And it's with this free will that we've been gifted with from God, from Spirit, that we're able to continuously make choices for ourselves. And this is God's greatest gift to us, that He had faith in our ability to choose. And actually, when we think about that God had faith in our ability to choose, that He blessed us with free will, that in itself becomes enlightening. That in itself becomes empowering, that we have the gift of choice. And so know that we always have the ability to choose to grow, and we have the ability to choose our level of consciousness. And it's through our desire to grow, it's through our desire to be able to become more evolved, better, our best. It's through that desire that fuels our consciousness. So it's important to be able to understand that when Jesus said to Simon during the Last Supper, "In my Father's house there are many mansions," He was really referring to the very many places that spirit dwells in. But this refers to the very many levels of vibration, or the very many levels of consciousness. And we really are co-creators with God. And that is also a beautiful thing, that God blessed us with this ability to have choice, to have free will, and that we are co-creators with creation. And we always have the ability to be able to grow. We always have the ability to be able to raise our consciousness, to have a greater awareness, to have a greater understanding. And that gift is given to everyone. And so there isn't a place where people go where they have sinned, where they have been bad. That hell doesn't exist. And so I hope that this has provided you some insight. I hope that it has provided you some guidance. And I hope that it may have provided you with some healing too. And it's important, especially for mediums, to be able to understand this, because this particular philosophy, because I've heard on many occasions where someone has been told by a not informed medium that their loved ones are suffering or their loved ones are trapped. And it's really important to be able to have this understanding that souls aren't trapped. So again, I hope that this has been helpful for you, and I hope that this has provided you some insight and guidance. And I do thank you very much for listening to me. And once again, my name is Lorraine, and I do wish you very many blessings. And if you are coming upon this, please do join my development groups, Soul Light Solutions and Mediumship Development Global Group, where you can interact and engage with like-minded individuals. And please do hit the like button and hit subscribe for me so that you can keep up to date with any new material that I may be putting out. I do wish you very many blessings, and may you walk with spirit. Bye for now.